What's going on, everybody? C4, welcome back to the channel, and today we're here for a new Madden retro rebuild. We go from Madden 12, 10 years, a full decade, to current day Madden, and try to build an absolute dynasty. Today, going with a personal favorite. This one I just needed to get done, especially after seeing a certain somebody be very good in the sim, and that is the 2012 Denver Broncos with 77 overall Tim Tebow. Now, I went ahead, looked at the files for the Madden 12 game. Tebow actually was a 77. I was surprised. I was like, man, I don't remember him ever being like kind of good. He was never brutal, but I was like, he's probably like a 68. So he was a 77. So we're going to try and make it work. I mean, looking at it at face value, you can see it's very much, you know, Tim Tebow. Accuracy's not particularly great when you have guys like Christian Ponder and quarterbacks we played with before that have like 87 short accuracy. Everything's in the 70s is going to be a little bit tough. 88 throw power is on a little bit on the, you know, a little bit on the light side. It's not brutal, but it's not great. But the 92 throw on the run, 96 break sack, and the scrambling ability is going to be great. What full disclosure, offensive playbook, do something different than always just doing the Ravens. I decided, let's, you know, Tebow, college offense, Florida Gators. We are going with the Arizona Cardinals offense. We have Noshawn Marino and Willis McGahee in the backfield. We'll go with Marino because he's the younger of the options. We have Demaryius Thomas, Eddie Royal, Eric Decker, but I think that might change in just 1 second because the offensive line spot inside seems pretty set and forget. Zane Beatles, Hochstein, Cooper. But I have Ryan Clady, who is a 94 superstar. I have Orlando Franklin, who is 74 hidden dev. Canadian, also identifies as a Canadian. So, and we also have this guy, Ryan Harris, who's an 81, and he's a left tackle. I think we could probably trade Ryan Harris for a wide receiver. And obviously, before I hit record, kind of looked around, seeing any wide receivers that made sense. And one is a guy that, you know, played a decent chunk of his career in Denver. But obviously, we're going to try to get him way before he actually ended up a Bronco. And you'll see that in just 1 second. I don't even know if we'll go through. We might have a chance. We have Julius Thomas at tight end. This is obviously before he broke out with Peyton Manning. But we'll see if he can catch on with old Tim Tebow. On the defensive side, we have Robert Ayers, Broderick Bunkley, Ty Warren on the front three, Elvis Dumerville, DJ Williams, Wesley Woodyard, and rookie Von Miller. Now, as a rookie, Von Miller in Madden 12 was a 79 overall. I literally imported the exact same stats, minus the fact that he went up 1 overall point from the preseason. It was 85. So the exact same rating that got him a 79 in Madden 12 gets him an 85 in Madden 22. I was like, you know what? I'm not nerfing him. He's Von freaking Miller. He's going to be a god. We have Broncos legend Brian Dawkins here, 37. I don't know how long he's going to be, but obviously Weapon X, one of my favorite players of all time. Probably my favorite player of all time, which is a very common answer for a lot of Philadelphia Eagle fans, even though he pretty much went to retire in Denver, which I'll never forgive the front office for. He was still pulling an 87, which ain't too bad. Along with Champ Bailey, absolute legend of the game. This is the downside of trying to import over Madden 12 ratings. He was a 97, but I put his ratings in, and I was only getting 94, so I was like, I'll take the good with Von Miller, the times we get a little bit of a bump, and I'll take the actual ratings, what they're at, for someone like Champ Bailey, but still 94 superstar, baller. We had Goodman, who I'm actually not really familiar with, but he's an 83. We got the rookie Chris Harris Jr., 75. He will be our starting slot. So as I was saying, there was a trade I think we can make here at that tackle spot. Ryan Harris, ship him off somewhere, bring in a future ahead of his time Denver Bronco. Let's see if we can get that trade to go through, and then we'll get into year 1 of this rebuild. The Pittsburgh Steelers were desperate for a tackle, one of like I think 3 or 4 teams that had the green interest meter in Ryan Harris. So I said, why not? Let's get Emmanuel Sanders, who is a 76 star dev in his second year out of SMU. Obviously, made it, you know, cut his craft, kind of broke out a little bit with Pittsburgh, hit free agency, ended up in Denver, and he had some of his most productive years. I can't say he had the most productive years, but I think you associate Denver with Emmanuel Sanders, maybe equal to Pittsburgh when he started out. So able to bring Emmanuel Sanders and pair him with Demaryius Thomas, Eric Decker, and Eddie Royal. Now, let's get into year 1 of this rebuild. This is kind of cool. I just triggered the QB breakout scenario. It's an easy one, but Tebow went for a start. It was a losing effort against the Dallas Cowboys, 31-28, but he hit it. We also had a breakout scenario here for Emmanuel Sanders, and unfortunately he did not, but that's pretty huge getting Tebow off of that normal dev. Big first hurdle there. Free agent, at least we don't have like a half the team I need to re-sign. So I got Champ Bailey. Actually, give him a 2-year deal. I want him here till he retires. I got Broderick Bunkley, former Philadelphia Eagle. 27, so 3-year deal. Keep him till he's 30. Shouldn't have to worry about any regression. And lastly, Wesley Woodyard, the star dev Middle linebacker, only 25 years old, 74, still has some high upside. So I give him a 4-year deal. At the end of year 1, made the playoffs, 9-8. A little bit better than what I thought. I mean, there's clearly a good core roster here, but most of our good players are on the way up. I did not expect playoffs year 1, but we got it, 9-8. Obviously, the Arizona Cardinals playbook working okay enough for Tim Tebow and company. Tebow, 13th in yards with 4,500, 34 touchdowns. Be interested to see the rushing number, 6 interceptions, so very accurate. How un-Tebow-like. And obviously, we achieved that dev trade to get him off normal in season, which is great. 1,100 yards, 13 touchdowns, no Marino, 669. That's very un-Tebow-like as well. A 6-6, and it's like, you know, you flip that 6-9 around, that's 666. Also, 69. Both very un-Tebow things. But 9 touchdowns, those are outstanding, right? He might get MVP, honestly. Rushing touchdowns for quarterbacks are weighted so heavily. Like, he's going to be... Like, you look at that stat, he should be top 10, but he might be top 5 just because of those rushing numbers alone. 6 touchdowns there, McGahee. 12-7 for Emmanuel Sanders. One hell of a trade for the Denver Broncos here. 12-9 Demaryius Thomas. 9-10 for Eric Decker. 500 yards for Julius Thomas. Defensively, 145 tackles for DJ Williams. 17.5 sacks, Elvis Dumerville. 14 for Von Miller. I love it when a 3-4 defense can get pressure. We're using... So it's John Fox is the coach, and I looked through his coaching tree, and Brandon Staley was like the best option for a 3-4 defense. So we're running the Chargers defense along with the Cardinals offense, and we got some pressure. Happy with those numbers. 6 picks, Champ Bailey, ageless wonder. 2 for Chris Harris, 2 for Weapon X, 1 for Von Miller. Yearly awards MVP goes to, Tim Tebow. Shouldn't, but he is, and we'll take it. But rushing numbers for quarterbacks are just so ridiculous. But awesome. You know, hey. If in this world, they gave Tebow, maybe the media is going absolutely wild right now because Tebow unjustly winning the MVP, offensive player. I could see him get offensive player of the year, but MVP, I thought, like, unless it was a down year. But we already know it was because of the rushing numbers. But that's huge, knowing that he can win multiple MVPs. He should be going up to superstar dev, honestly, now that I think about it. Defensive Rookie of the Year went to Von Miller. Tebow is quarterback of the year. Awesome. And that's it. But my God, what a year from Tim Tebow. And as long as he can keep cheesing that, man, I'll take 4 or 5 MVPs over this. This is year 1. The team's only going to get better. Tebow should only continue to give us 30-plus passing touchdowns and 6-7 minimum rushing touchdowns is kind of the goal I'm hitting. But if we don't get a playoff victory, Tebow's most famous thing he did in the NFL is probably a playoff victory over a certain team. And actually, oddly enough, that team is who were taken out of the division round after knocking down the Texans 30-10. Because it's Tebow, because it's year 1, because we have the freaking MVP. Was it on the back of Tebow? Did he have like 2 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown? 2 touchdowns as a thrower. Also chipped in a rushing touchdown. There you go. So, you already know, man. You already know if I can make Tebow 9 on the X Factor, we're going. That is my goal. That is why I picked the Denver Broncos. So next up in the division round, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers. Do they know how to stop Tim Tebow? Not really. They gave up 35 points. Our defense gave up 41. That's more so what I'm taking out of this one. Tebow, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. He also chipped in with 52 yards. I mean, you could just see, though, man. Tebow is going to be an absolute god in this rebuild. And it's one of those things, to be honest, it's hard for me to have an unbiased take. But I think in today's NFL, it's still probably best if Tebow, moves positions, pulls like a Logan Thomas, or any of those guys, those quarterbacks that have had success at tight end. But at least, like, stylistically, Tebow in today's NFL could be kind of special. But we did get our playoff victory. He looked pretty decent in both games. And Tim Tebow wins the MVP his 2nd year in the NFL. So that's a great way to close out year 1. Let's get to the offseason. So outside of 2 skill points, Tebow didn't go up dev trade. He just, again, kind of shows you maybe how slightly, I don't want to say cheesy, maybe broken and skewed things are to rushing up. Like, he didn't do good enough to even go up dev trade in season, yet he wins the MVP. I mean, it is what it is. Look at the team. Orlando Franklin comes out as a star dev. He was a hidden dev. And on the defensive side of the ball, Von Miller was hidden dev, and obviously he is very much an X factor. And he's up to a 92 with no boost. But no dev trades gained on this team. It's a little disappointing. Outside of Tebow in season, of course. At the end of year 1 and off season into year 2, Brian Dawkins retires, greatest Philadelphia Eagles safety of all time. Free agent Peter, kind of just bringing in depth for the most part. Lauren McLean will be a starter at fullback. I got Corey Redding, veteran, on a 1-year deal just because I can kick him to right defensive end. It's one less spot we have to try to improve during the draft because we only make our first 2 picks anyways. And then everything else is death moves. Why not bring back Kyle Orton as the backup to Tebow? We're on the clock at pick 26 here in the 2012 draft. Looking at where we need to go. We want to start this one out pretty hot, pretty spicy. Offensively, we're pretty good. Could I, if there's a freak center, the best player available is clearly a center. We could go center. Could go tight end, even though Demaryius Thomas is still there. He's not going to be most likely the Demaryius Thomas, remember, at his peak with Peyton Manning and co. So if there's a good tight end, we could look there. But defensively, let's see what we got. Front, the D-line's not bad. If we can get a younger 3-4 defensive end, just because we got Corey Redding on a 1-year Band-Aid, yeah. Could go corner, because Champ Bailey and I think Goodman's on the wrong side of 30 now, too. He's 34. So Chris Harris is really only our long-term corner on the roster. We need strong safety. We need free safety. I would say a lot of these are getting younger positions, but I would say strong safety would be S tier. Corner, tight end would kind of be secondary. So let's see what's on the board here at 26 to breaking down this team. So at tight end, we have Dwayne Allen and or Coby Fleener. Okay, probably would side with Coby Fleener in that aspect. Center is absolutely not going to go center. Looking for a 3-4 defensive end. None. Right end, again, a little bit on the light side. Mike Daniel was probably the best of the bunch, and he's day 3. D tackle, we have Derek Wolfe, who actually, you know what? That was actually a pick. That might be too good to pass up because he would obviously kick into defensive end, and he was, a productive member. He was never Pro Bowl level, but he was always a solid player. We could reignite that. Looking at the corners, Jack Rabbit Jenkins, Casey Hayward, we've used those guys a couple times in a rebuild, so I do want to kind of skip off of them. And at safety, You know what? Here's what we'll do. Clearly, we should go Harrison Smith, but we just did a Vikings rebuild where we got Harrison Smith. So I will go Derek Wolfe and say we'll come around and we'll try to get... I'll draft the best safety available. That might have a depth trait. So, take one, we'll go, instead of Harrison Smith, Derek Wolfe, and then say George Aloka probably has a depth trait. Looking down here, it's actually kind of a weak class. You got Roddy McLeod to Sean Gibson. I'm pretty sure George Aloka has a dev, so we'll try to come back and get him. We're going with Derek Wolfe. If he has a dev trait, then we'll kind of be okay. He does. But clearly he's not going to be Harrison Smith's level, so we'll reward ourselves by hopefully trying to get George Aloka in the second round. Reaching for him, trying to get another hidden dev safety just because we did the right thing, and we passed on getting Harrison Smith in back-to-back retro rebuilds. And second round, George Aloka, hidden dev safety. It's not Harrison Smith, but that's still a pretty good player that's going to be able to plug and play and start right away as a rookie. Look at a draft recap. Derek Wolfe, 68 hidden dev. George Aloka, 65 hidden dev. And the computer, kind of okay. We got 67 Travis Benjamin. He'll be our wide receiver 4 this year. That's pretty cool. A lot of speed, I imagine. 96 speed. Andrew Hitler, 61. Ladarius Green, who computer loves drafting him, is 59. We get Jay Trevathan, who actually I think was a pick of the Broncos, and he has a hidden dev. Absolutely won't be an outside linebacker in this scheme, but could be long-term successor to DJ Williams, who's getting up there in age a little bit, and then Duke Iheanacho there in the 7th, who actually might have also been a pick. I feel like I associate him with the Lions, but I feel like he might have been on Denver. But Trevathan's actually a hit. Thank you, computer. Same with Travis Benjamin. I'll take that. 2 solid computer picks on top of 2 hidden devs. 3 total on the draft. That's a great start. A late free agency period here. We're only going to be extending Emmanuel Sanders. I gave him a 5-year contract, and we signed Eric Decker to a 3-year deal. Late in year 2, Robert Ayers, who I actually thought, maybe I misremember. I thought he was actually pretty decent on a normal dev. Goes up to a star dev for us on the defensive line. So it might be him and Derek Wolfe as we gear up for year 3 as our 2 defensive ends. At the end of year 2, we go 12-5, which I thought might be good enough to win the division, but the Chargers were on 14-3. But I'll absolutely take 12-5, up from 9-8, which was a record at the end of year 1. Looking at the leaders, not seeing any of our guys, but again, Tebow won the MVP and wasn't anywhere near. 4,300 yards, 29 touchdowns for Tim Tebow to 8 picks. Those are the Kyler Murray stat lines, I know. 683 rushing yards, 7 rushing. he might get MVP again with those rushing numbers. Not too far off of really what he had. He had a couple more touchdowns passing and rushing last year, but you never know. No Sean Marino, 1,000 yards, 16 touchdowns. We had 13 and 10 on 106 catches for Demaryius Thomas, 1,000 yards for Emmanuel Sanders, 1,000 yards for Eric Decker. It's kind of awesome that all three of those guys are kind of popping off. DJ Williams on the team, 119 tackles, 7 sacks. We had 15.5 sacks Von Miller, 14 from Elvis Dumerville, 8.5 Corey Redding, 7 DJ Williams. Interceptions was George Aloka, the rookie, 74 with 4 picks. He was a hidden dev. He is a star. We also had Wolf. I mean, obviously, he just didn't play. He was barely in the depth chart. We don't know his depth chart. It's beyond. It's probably a star. Did Tebow win another MVP? Did not. He was runner-up. Second place to Philip Rivers. At least that makes sense. Not really deserving of an MVP this season. Looking at the award winners. Jeez, Ryan Clady is the best lineman. That's pretty cool. Take that. At least someone got an award, got something put on their mantle. Hopefully next to a Super Bowl trophy. Going around here, first round, we're taking on the New England Patriots. And it should be a, tough matchup. They're always, they got Brady still. And it was close. 31, to 28. Our number 1 offense in the NFL. I think it'd get a little bit more than 28. It wasn't Tebow's fault. He out-dueled Tom Brady. He pulled a Nick Foles. But unfortunately, the rest of the team couldn't play up to snuff. Hell of a game from Tim Tebow. But, damn. All right, season ends. Let's go year 3. And in closing, Demaryius Thomas goes up to a superstar dev. Would have liked to see Eric Decker going over 1,000 yards there, get star, but that's fine. At least one of our wideouts is getting a little bit of growth and development. Defensively, don't think there was anything. Derek Wolf's here. So this is like what our D-line is going to look like next season. Ayers, Bunkley, and Wolf. No other dev traits gained. But hey, at least we got Demaryius. That's a win. Pick 23 in the 2013 draft. We need tight end, corner, free safety. In that order. I already see Kenny Vaccaro might be our... free safety is probably the less of all the positions. Look at the safeties. We have J.J. Wilcox. I would absolutely draft Kenny Vaccaro at this price point. Look at the corners. It's Slay. We already used him in multiple rebuilds. Corners kind of drop off. Honey Badger might be on the board in the second round. That'd be cool. It's kind of 2 birds stoned at once. But he'd have to be there for our second pick for me to want to pull the trigger on that one. We also need tight end. Julius Thomas just not really developing. Ooh. I think we gotta. Zach Ertz in the first round, and if we can get Honey Badger in the second, that's a coup. Come on, Honey Badger, still be there. Still be there, still be there, still be there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So take a look at our draft recap. Went heavy in the first round. Maybe next draft we'll ease the brakes a little bit. Maybe look for a redemption story, but when you needed corner, tight end as your biggest needs, and Zach Ertz was on the board in the first round. Tyrann Mathieu was on the board in the second round. And honestly, for Honey Badger, safety would be our third need. He kind of fills both those roles. It was just the perfect rebuild to kind of call this in. Zach Ertz, 68 hidden dev. Honey Badger, 71 with a hidden dev. Computer got us another tight end for some reason in the third round. Gavin Escobar. Monte Ball. Ooh, wasn't he actually on the Broncos again? Wasn't he a pick? I remember he was kind of a bust, unfortunately, but he's 61. We got Stacey McGee, 65. Josh Boyd, 59. Brandon Copeland, 60. But very happy to have Zach Ertz to help out Tim Tebow and Honey Badger on the back end of the defense. All the recent additions here is how the team is going to shape up for year 3. Excited to see what superstar Demaryius Thomas can do, and also if Sanders and or Decker can go up dev trait, as both those guys are probably going to be eyeing for 1,000 yards. We have tight end, brand new, shiny, sparkly, Zach Ertz, 71, hidden dev. We'll get the start. Actually, he could be better than, he could be superstar. Probably star, but could be superstar. Maybe should be superstar, my bias. But you say with Honey Badger, I'm very optimistic that we're going to get 2 very good dev trait players here. Let's go, man. We got 12-5 last year. I expect nothing less this year. So for our free agency period, in terms of contract extensions in season, we got Ryan Clady. I'm going to get him. I actually gave him a 5-year deal. We're going to have, again, can't stress enough. Every rebuild, at least in Madden 22, just stick with your linemen. We got No Sean Marino, 5-year deal. Champ Bailey, 1-year deal. DJ Williams, I actually only wanted to give him a 1 year. He's looking for a 2. I'll probably give him that 2. I'll probably just straight up offer him that fair offer. But I mean, we do have Danny Trevathan waiting in the wings as a developmental player. Maybe if he doesn't want to take this contract, we make, we move on, maybe sooner than earlier. 4-year deal for Zane Beadles. We got a 3-year deal for Robert Ayers. And with the bringing in of Zach Ertz, kind of, move on from Demaryius Thomas. Best of luck elsewhere. Hey, do you guys know he played basketball? Year 3 is concluded, and finally, we must have some sort of tiebreaker. But the Denver Broncos are AFC West champions. 12-5, the same record. One thing I have noticed, man, I almost always, like, when you play as much franchise modes as I do, Week 18's almost always a loss. I don't know why, but it was a loss here against the 6. Well, at that point, they had 5 wins. But, yeah, well, I'm just telling you. Anyone else out there, if you do play a lot of rebuilds on your own time, let me know. Do you lose Week 18 more often than not? Feels like it's always a solid. Either way, won the division. Take a look at these stats here. Big picture. Demaryius Thomas there for 3rd leading receivers. 105 catches, 1,400 yards. Only 3 touchdowns. Maybe it was Zach Ertz eating all the touchdowns or being a tutty machine. Tim Tebow, 4,600 passing yards, 28 touchdowns, 14 picks. So the picks are up. Touchdowns still. I would love for him to get, because of our offense anyways, like 30, 31, 32, somewhere in that range. Sub 30 is what we have seen before with Kyler Murray. And kind of on par with the Cardinals playbook is what it is. Not great yards from Marino, 14 touchdowns, 650 and 9 from Tim Tebow. So that's really good. Might be MVP. Anytime you have 9 rushing touchdowns, you might have a chance at MVP. 1,400 yards for Demaryius Thomas, only 3 touchdowns, which is weird. 1,000 yards, 12 touchdowns for Manuel Sanders. 1,008 for Eric Decker. 6 and 4 for Ertz. So Ertz a little bit better than Julius Thomas. But still, obviously not a huge year. But the dev trade is great. It is a superstar dev. On the defensive side, DJ Williams, who we did just say screw it and re-signed him to a 2-year deal. 127 tackles, 2 picks, 16.5 sacks. Elvis Dumervil, 13 for Von Miller, 9. And 17 TFLs for Robert Ayers. 5 picks, Champ Bailey, Aegis 1. Yearly awards, MVP goes to Frank Gore. Tim Tebow coming in at number 4. Hey, good for Frank Gore. Tim Tebow is Offensive Player of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year goes to Elvis Dumervil. He's also the Linebacker of the Year. So shout out to Tebow and Elvis Dumervil. We're going to the playoffs. Last year, we were 1 and done, pulling a little Dallas Cowboys. So hopefully, this is a tough matchup here against the Ravens. Joe Flacco, he's had a good year. But we handle business 35-28. Anytime you put up big numbers, like when we win like 17-9, I don't really care about the box score too much. When you put up 35, I love seeing what happened. It wasn't really much of Tebow. 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Did have a rushing touchdown, I suppose. Maybe it was the defense that took this one over. We got some pressure there, but nothing too crazy. Champ Bailey, Aegis Wonder gets his pick. You know how all that happened at 35. We had a lot of rushing touchdowns. So now we're taking on the 12-5 New England Patriots here in the divisional round. Come on, baby. Let's go on a run. Fuck, 12-6. What? First devs, I don't know. I thought QB dev trade at the end of the year did factor in rushing, but no dev for Tebow is what it is. Defensively, Honey Badger came out superstar, which is kind of what we were hoping for a little bit. Elvis Dumervil went from superstar up to an X factor. That is just a terrifying pass rush with him and Von Miller on opposing sides. And always, yes, Zach Ertz, as we talked about with that superstar dev. And in free agency, we went after, what was his nickname? Terrence Cody, 6'4", Broderick Bunkley's always been an undersized nose tackle at the front of our 3. Plus, he's starting to regress a little bit and getting into, I believe, the last year of his contract. So, what was his name? He used to have a nickname. He was a meme. He used to put him in fullback. Like your typical, he's outrageously large human being. Anyways, Terrence Cody, 26 star dev, 88 overall, giving us a little bit of juice in the inside of our front 3. So pick 27 in the 2014 draft. We need corner. That's really it, honestly. We need a corner free safety, potentially. Again, free safety, we have Calvin Pryor. And at corner, it's Bradley Roby. Wasn't he actually a member of the Broncos? I feel like he was. So I'm going to grab him. Hidden dev, let's go. Need that successor. Even though we have Honey Badger last year, we're going to need that successor to Champ Bailey. I don't know, obviously incredibly lofty expectations for Bradley Roby to be the next Champ Bailey, but just to slot in there when it is time. Because, Champ Bailey's probably going to retire any offseason now. We just needed a free safety for the depth chart. Why not? Terrence Brooks, take it, flyer. So with our draft recap, Bradley Roby is obviously the best player from this class. 74 hidden dev. We got Terrence Brooks. The computer hooked us up. We got Will Clark, Cam Fleming, Kadeem Edwards, Zach Kerr, and Brock Coyle. In terms of ratings, not too bad. but only one hidden depth player in Roby. But you can act like Terrence Cody was also a big-time acquisition this offseason, which he was, new starting nose tackle. So the good news is that because we've been fairly light on free agency, which is kind of the norm here in the Retro Rebuilds, we can pretty much pick and choose who we want to keep. So we got Tebow on a 5-year, $177 million deal for the former MVP, looking for a little bit more playoff success. We got Demaryius Thomas on a 5-year deal. The late, great Demaryius Thomas. Want him to finish his career here with the Broncos. Got Matt Prater, Champ Bailey on a 1-year deal. Orlando Franklin. Tackles, for some reason, in these retro rebuilds are ridiculously cheap, so I got Orlando Franklin on a 5-year deal. And Raheem Moore, a little bit underrated. I always kept looking at like normal dev, safety. He's only 24, way younger than what I thought he was. So we're going to go with 5 years. And we got J.D. Walton there on a 2-year deal. Year 4 is over. 10-7, second place in the division, so 2 wins less than what we had a year ago, which is a little annoying, but it is what it is. Take a look at the stats. Von Miller, 22 sacks, leading the league. You love seeing that. I have a feeling that he's going to break the record at some point during this rebuild. 4,500 yards, 30 touchdowns for Tim Tebow to 7 interceptions, as well as almost 600 yards rushing and 9 touchdowns, 39 total. Again, gotta be in the MVP discussion. 9 and 10 there for Noshawn, 9 vultures from McGay as our power back. It's going to be his last year with us. 12 and 3, Demaryius Thomas. There's just not a lot of touchdowns for Demaryius Thomas. Gets a lot of yards. 12 and 9, Manuel Sanders. 1,009, Eric Decker. Almost 8 and 7 for Zach Ertz. So, I mean, this offense firing on all cylinders. In terms of passing, 134 tackles, 2.5 sacks, 2 picks, DJ Williams. 22 sacks, Von Miller. Good God. 3 picks, Honey Badger leading the team. Taking a look at the yearly awards. MVP goes to Tim Tebow, his second of the rebuild. And the AFC, he's also Offensive Player of the Year. Von Miller, Defensive Player of the Year. Tim Tebow, Quarterback of the Year. We have Von Miller, Linebacker of the Year. So the second time Tebow's won MVP. Still looking to get more than 1 win in a playoff run. First up is the Baltimore Ravens in the wild card round. And we win. I was getting ready to be like, and we lost. We won 28-24, so now we're in the divisional round taking on our divisional rival, first place AFC West champion, LA Chargers. Phillip Rivers going against Tim Tebow. Rivers has won the MVP in this rebuild, and we handle business. 35-32, our MVP Tebow. I'm going to guess had himself a game here. 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Also had a rushing touchdown, so 4 total touchdowns. What a monster, man. 91 yards, 2 touchdowns to Demaryius Thomas, 17 tackles, DJ Williams, 2.5 sacks from Von Miller. This team is ridiculous this season. What all stands in our way is the 1 seed, 13-4 Houston Texans, looking for our first Super Bowl appearance. At least we got our 2 playoff wins in a run, and fall flat on that one, 28-10. But we're so close. I think we're going to get over the line here in the next season or 2. Tebow's never going to get a dev. Second MVP, still on fucking Star Dev. It's not so much. At least we're not playing, you know, because if we were, then you'd want him to have that X factor. So you have Escape Artist. Look at on the back end. Honey Badger goes from Superstar up to an X factor. Bradley Roby's dev trait is unveiled as a star. Nothing else gained or lost. So that's, you know, silver linings. We need to take a look here for this 2015 draft, where we need to go. Offensively, again, not, you know, we could go BPA potentially. I'd like to have a little bit of a target. Maybe running back 2. Yeah, I know Sean Marino. Defensively, we could very much be in line for a 3-4 pass rush. Safety. You know, again, safety corner, one of the 2, because then we can kind of play off Honey Badger. And if there's a corner, we can get Honey Badger, move him to strong safety, and then get, you know, Champ Bailey's replacement. I don't know. We'll see. Really, I mean, this team is very good at this point in this rebuild that we have literally no holes. And I don't really want to go BPA because that ends up taking us some pretty cheesy players. So what do we have for running back 2? We could go TJ Yeldon. That'd not be a great pick. We could grab potentially a center, Cam Irving. 3-4 pass rusher. You know, you could probably fit Mario Edwards into that role. A little bit on the beefy side. Corner. Eric Rowe, Ronald Darby, Jalen Collins at safety. Jordan Richards, Jaquaski Tart. We'll grab Tart. Might have a dev. Does not. Oh well, we're due for an average draft. I guess we'll go backup running back Jay Ajayi, hidden dev out of Boise State to come in and be our running back 2 behind Noshawn Marino. A draft recap. So after Jaquiski Tart, 70 normal, Jay Ajayi, 71 hidden dev, we got TJ Clemmings, Kyle Emanuel, Austin Reeder, T.Y. McGill, 68, not bad. All right, yeah, average draft. Take a look at our free agents. Elvis Dumerville, easy. Colquitt, yeah, might as well. 1 year on Chris Cupper. George Aloka, 5-year deal. Congratulations to him. Aaron Decker's got, no development. Development's got to suck, but he's been over 1,000 yards, feels like every year. So we'll give him a 3-year deal. Wolf, a 3-year deal. Wesley Woodyard, we're going to move on, and actually I'm going to throw the money his way to Danny Trevathan. 4 years younger. I think he can close that gap. Tough one is going to be Champion. Let's just assume he's going to retire versus we throw that money around. Well, you know what? Let's just make it official. If he's going to come back for year 17, he'll be with us, but he's most likely, and I kind of hope retires so we can move on in the secondary. We close out year 5, which is usually, that's a good turning point of the rebuild. Offensively kind of dipped. We've had top 5, but somehow we now have number 1 defense, points per game. Pretty average numbers, really, everywhere. Top 10 rushing offense, I suppose, but we go 14-3. Look at the big picture. We are seeing virtually no one from our team. How did we put this number up? Tebow, 4,200 yards passing, 26 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. Still had pretty good rushing numbers, 600, almost, not bad. Not MVP. I mean, I'm sure he's going to be in the race, but not really MVP numbers. 1,014, Noshawn Marino. 1,106 for Eric Decker. See, I don't even care about the dev trade. He's been very productive for us. 1,100 yards, 11 touchdowns, Manny Sanders. 1,005 for Demaryius Thomas, 5-2 for Zach Ertz. Tebow didn't have the strongest of years. That's kind of what happens. 115 tackles, Wesley Woodyard. 18.5 sacks, Von Miller. 10 for Derek Wolfe. 9 for Elvis Dumerville. 4 picks, Honey Badger. 4 picks. Chris Harris tied for the lead on our squad. MVP goes to Derek Carr. Tim Tebow coming in at number 3. Tim Tebow is Offensive Player of the Year. Again, heavily skewed towards the scrambling quarterback. Ryan Clady is Lineman of the Year. Von Miller, Linebacker of the Year. And we are the 1 seed. Is this the year? Is it, we're getting to that point though. Tebow's 27, 28, so you're getting to that ceiling, especially if he's not going up dev trade, which is, it's not really happening. So I would say our window for Super Bowl is probably this year and then maybe the next 2 after that with Tebow. And of course, the 1 seed is one and done. Of course they are. So actually take a look at our team ahead of our 2016 draft. DJ Williams retired. So kind of creates a pretty big hole at middle linebacker. So that's where we're going to be trying to go with our 1st round pick. There's a chance that he's actually pretty good as is, but a chance at redemption. I don't hate the selection. Looking at the linebackers that are still available, like, all right, Deion Jones, if he was still there in the 2nd round, and hell, I might even still swing at him if he's still there. Middle linebacker, Blake Martinez, probably is going to be pulling a pretty decent rating. And then you look at the right side linebacker, you have Jalen Smith. We've used Miles Jack before in rebuilds. So you have someone like Jalen Smith, that was a bona fide, probably top 10, top 15 pick. Had a pretty bad injury at Notre Dame and went to the league. Was kind of hot for a minute with the Dallas Cowboys. But like my point being, should be a decent pick. I also considered momentarily just drafting Keanu Neal and moving him to linebacker. But we'll go with a chance at redemption. As long as he has a dev trait, I think he could be something special. So we're going to grab Jalen Smith. Let's go. For a 2nd round pick, I think you can make an argument. Pass rusher, be it a 3-4 defensive end or getting Elvis Dumerville's replacement. Gakwe is there, but Nassib might be the pick. There's Chris Jones. I don't think this is like Chiefs Chris Jones. I don't think. And then you go, a little bit later on. There's just not a lot of great options here, all things considered. So, we'll grab Kyle Nassib. Pretty solid player, has some high upside. I wasn't going to pull a scheme fit. At this point, you're just kind of picking for dev traits if you're lucky to luck into one. But, you can't have 2 really good picks. Nassib should be solid rotational depth. Take a look at our 2016 draft recap. In the 1st round, we got Jalen Smith, 79 hidden dev. He's going to be a middle linebacker in our scheme. If I was recreating this draft class, I would have given him something like this too. That's He was, you know, picture what we thought, you know, who the hype draft linebacker prospects. Roquan Smith. Zay Simmons. I'm trying to think like hyped line. I don't know. You know, no, Kobe Dean slept. But like Jalen Smith's right up there. So that's a great rating. We got Carl Nassib, 68 normal. We got Dean Lowry, 69. Cardale Jones is our backup to Tebow. Hollywood Higgins, Matt Judon, and Maurice Kennedy. Does Cardale have a dev? He could have got one. Normal dev for Cardale Jones. Higgins, we got Matt Judon. Might have, yes he does. Hidden dev, bit of a project. Kind of like when we got Danny Trevathan. But that's fine. You know, learn a thing or two from Elvis Dumerville. Quick look and updated our team. Year 6. Something I just kind of brushed over. I mean, he's running back too. Jay had superstar. Okay, generous. We'll keep it. I mean, it's not like he's going to be 99. We're going to have just, you know, whatever. He's a backup running back. Great dev trade. We will take it. And then on the defense, a little bit of a shift up here. So we are kicking Jalen Smith in. He's instantly our top linebacker. We're going to have Matt Judon here be our little developmental guy behind Von Miller, behind Elvis Dumerville. Rest of the defense, I mean, again, the normal dev looks bad, but Raheem Moore is like 25, 26, 83. You know, can't just ignore because he's normal dev. Yeah, very solid player. Bradley Roby, Chris Harris Jr., Honey Badger at corner. I mean, this team here absolutely juiced to the gills, ready to win, ready to dominate. I'm going to put Jalen Smith as our sub linebacker. Everything else looks pretty. You know what? Let's get Jay some touches as a power back. Keep Decker in the slot. 14 wins last year. We're 1 and done in the playoffs. Let's not do that again here in year 6. So year 6 is when we have our first kind of hang up in terms of contracts. Can't just extend everybody. We extend almost everybody. We got Von Miller, we got Terrence Cody, and I got Chris Harris to long-term deals. We got Matt Prater coming back on a 1 year. But our salary cap is starting to get stretched a little thin when you look at Chris Cooper, Robert Ayers, J.D. Walton. All those guys have been starting for us. And Honey Badger ain't happy with that contract. See, it won't be too much. Took turned down 81. I could probably get him for 83, 84, somewhere in that range for 5 years, which, like Von Miller, 5-year contracts, that is the entirety of the rebuild, which is good. Don't have to worry about that contract. But we're like getting around $19, $20 million in salary cap. So we're going to have to start picking and choosing. We can't keep everybody. Year 6 yields another playoff appearance, 12-5, which is actually really good. I actually want to take a look at the schedule because I think we were 4-4. Like when at midway point when I was talking to you guys about the contracts, and then we just decided week 13 on, we just weren't going to lose any more games, and we're a damn good team. So I'm glad that they got their shit in order. A little bit long, but look at the big picture here for leaders. I'm not seeing any of our players, but that's fine. We got Tebow. Whoa. That might be dev tradable. Top 10 in passing, 34 touchdowns, did have 15 picks. Chipped in with 6. Oh my God, dude. 600 yards, 2 touchdowns for Tebow. 17 rushing vultures from Jay. He was our power back. And we still had 1,100 yards, 12 touchdowns for No Show Marino. Like, oddly enough, we probably were using, like, the base Broncos playbook. Minus the fact that Tebow wouldn't scramble. You know, between, you know, Javonte Williams and Melvin Ingram, it probably would work with, like, a Jai, No Show Marino 2-headed attack. But 12-12 for Emmanuel Sanders. 1,000 yards for Eric Decker. 1,000 yards Demaryius Thomas. Zach Ertz has kind of been underwhelming, but I think that's more of just our offense and targets than it is Zach Ertz himself. Both Danny Trevathan and Jalen Smith over 100 tackles. We had 16 sacks there for Von Miller. And 5 picks, Chris Harris Jr., 4 for George. I'm really happy with all of those numbers, to be completely honest with you. Yearly awards MVP went to Matt Ryan, Tim Tebow at number 6. Tim Tebow is Offensive Player of the Year. I mean, I would just love to get him up to superstar. Slowly but surely get him to, like, escape artist territory. Ryan Clady is the top. Is it Clady or Clady? Probably been butchering it the whole way. But he got a nice little award there alongside Mr. Tebow. Can we get a playoff victory? We were 0-1 last year as a 14-3 1 seed. Now we're at 12-5, which is still pretty damn good. Right on cue, 0-1. Fuck me, man. Oh yeah, baby. Tebow up to a superstar. And this is more so from the point, like, we need it now because the regression is going to start coming. So anything we can do to limit the regression that just happens unjustly to quarterbacks in Madden once they, you know, eclipse that 30-year of age mark. That's great for Tim Tebow. And man, J.J. 17 rushing touchdowns. I love it. Defensively, we had dev traits. Jalen Smith is superstar. I don't know if he was superstar right out the gate. I didn't see when he would have. He would have straight up just been a superstar. Another superstar. I think that was it in terms of devs. Yes. But hey, anytime you get a dev for your quarterback, it's as important as any other player. I honestly went to this draft looking for best player available. I think the connection, if we wanted to try to get an upgrade at safety over Raheem Moore, who's just normal dev, you could go Budda Baker here. And I also feel like there's more. We got to do it. I get it. You know, McCaffrey's dad was, I would say it's fair to call him a legendary Broncos player. But you can't justify when we have Noshawn Moreno got 1,000 yards, double-digit touchdowns. Our backup running back got 17. Like, even if you made, like, McCaffrey a wide receiver, it's just, you know, let's say McCaffrey for a rebuild that we need a running back in the 2017 draft. So I guess just in terms of going BPA, we'll grab Budda Baker here at free safety. Follow it up, just going interior defensive line, some guy that can play D-tackle, can play 3-4 defensive end. We're going to grab Dalvin Tomlinson out of Alabama. Alrighty, so for our draft recap, passing on Christian McCaffrey, going with Budda Baker, we're rewarded with a good rating, 76. Good night. Dalvin Thompson, 74 normal. We got Cordrea Tankersley, the computer hooked up, 74 normal in the third round. Fourth round, Zach Banner, 75. We got Jordan Leggett at a Clemson, 70. What a draft. Jamal Williams and then Patrick. I mean, those guys here actually have both been kind of popular. I've had Jamal Williams, I think, in a couple of rebuilds. Same with Reichard. But outstanding draft from the Broncos here this season. Maybe not the dev traits, but the overalls are fine. And for free agency here in year 7, very expensive. We have no money left. I got Zach Ertz, Manuel Sanders, and Cam Fleming, who we made our right guard, 75 star dev. I got all those guys locked up. I literally have like $3 million worth of salary cap. So, yeah, I mean, this is kind of what happens when you start a rebuild with the quarterback you're kind of going to go with, because then eventually you're going to pay that guy $150, $200 million, and it makes it very difficult to keep everybody. We're trying our best, but the wheels, I think, are about to fall off. Gotta try to go on a Super Bowl run this year. Year 7 is a nominal year. 8-9, below 500. Our worst record of the rebuild. Our no playoffs. I don't know. Like, I mean, okay, Tebow regressed down a little bit from last year. Less interceptions. 10 most rushing touchdowns he's had yet. He might win MVP. Our rushing offense. How do you go from having 1,000 and Marino had, what, 12, 13 touchdowns, 70 touchdowns to this? You know? 1,100 yards, Manuel Sanders. Almost 1,100 yards, Demaryius Thomas. A little bit of regression there from Decker and Ertz. Defensively, Jalen Smith, outstanding. 122 tackles, 4 picks. 18 sacks, Von Miller. 13 for Derek Wolfe. 22nd ranked offense, I guess, will do it. And he's the MVP. 3rd MVP for Tebow. And I know you guys probably know vicariously. If you told me we could have 3 Super Bowls and Tebow sucks and I moved on from him, or 3 MVPs with Tebow with the hope of 3 years remaining to win a Super Bowl, I'd take probably where we're at right now, all things considered. Tebow's also the Offensive Player of the Year. Von Miller, runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year. Let's see, anything else? Von Miller, linebacker of the season. So all awards are for Tebow. I don't think he's going to go up dev trait. It's going to be his 3rd MVP, and he hasn't gone up dev trait once. How about we fix that? As you can see, though, our salary cap is an absolute mess. So, I don't know, man. Things could get tough here to close this video out. Going into the 2018 draft, we need a starting center. Ideally, there's a good center here at 18. Or we could look at 3-4 pass rusher. So what do we got? We'll start 3-4 pass rusher. Like, I need a D lineman. Someone just maybe with a dev trait that has a better chance. Dalvin Tomlinson. And not looking good. Breland Speaks does fit the role, but not really. Even that's a reach for the 1st round. So, we're now looking at interior linemen that they might be able to cross-train at center. Braden Smith, Frank Ragnow, Will Hernandez. I think I've recently got Frank Ragnow. Did I? I just threw up my sheet. I'm gonna plead the fifth. This is the messed up draft class anyways. I'm gonna plead the fifth in case I've drafted him already. I forget. I need a center. I know he's a baller center. Again, gotta fix the strength because this is the draft class is all messed up, but very happy with right now. Plug and play day one center. I'm back with the second round. I'll get Breland Speaks. He's still there. He is a scheme-fitted pass rusher. Chance that there's a dev. There's not, unfortunately. But adds some nice depth here, and he is, most importantly, a scheme fit. Draft recap time for the 2018 NFL Draft for the Denver Broncos. Actually had a decent pick because we were garbage last year, 8-9. We got Ragdow. Again, I got to fix the ratings on some of these guys. Ratings won't shift too much. Just, you know, certain, like, again, Ragdow. Again, he's 77. Got to give that 92 awareness to his strength. Breland Speaks. We got Alex Kappa. All these guys are normal dev. But, you know, no one's an absolute bust, so not a bad draft class. And we got a brand new starting center. So the salary cap still in hell. We kind of have to do pick and choosing. We had about 70 million, which is still like 30 less than what we've been dealing with for a lot of this rebuild. I got Ryan Clady for a 2-year deal for the remainder of the rebuild. Got Demaryius Thomas for the full 10 seasons. No Sean Marino. This is where we're going to make the tough call. I probably could afford it, but with things getting tight, I think it's time just to commit to Jai at this point. And Marino's going to regress. He's probably going to be down to an 83, 84 at best at this offseason. So it just makes sense to make that transition. He's very appreciative. He was an absolute monster for us so far in this reel. We'll show some love and respect to his career with us. Look at that, man. A lot of big-time production numbers out of No Sean Marino. So, yeah, but I mean, Decker, Trevathan, some of these guys that have been faithful, we just don't have the money. Had to make some tough calls. Year 8 for the Denver Broncos, 10-7. At least we're back into the playoffs. Well behind the Kansas City Chiefs, unfortunately. But we're a 90 overall team. Pretty goddamn competitive, I do say so myself. Looking at the stats, Tebow, 29 touchdowns on 48. Almost top 5 in passing yards, which is kind of against our offense. As you can see, the rushing attack. Yeah, I think Jai has at least earned his opportunity with how many touchdowns he's been able, how much production he's been able to get as an RB2. It's time to see what he can do as an RB1. And more so, you know, Marino, unfortunately, the last 2-3 seasons have kind of gone downhill a little bit. 1,200 yards, Emmanuel Sanders. 11-7 for Decker, who, you know, it's the end of an era for him. Guess we can respect his stats, man. He's been copy and paste for 1,000 yards for a lot of this rebuild. Look at that. But, you know, can't pay everybody, unfortunately. 1,000 yards for Demaryius Thomas. On the defensive side, Jalen Smith, big-time tackle numbers. 18 sacks from Von Miller. 5 picks. Chris Harris Jr. leading the team. Taking a look here at the yearly awards. Like, how just randomly do we have the 22nd ranked offense last year and we've been top 10 every other year? Makes no sense. Tebow, 3rd place in the MVP race. Looking for the award winners. We actually didn't have anybody. Maybe that'll bode well for us. Feels like every year that we have award winners, we get robbed. We crash out early in the playoffs. Maybe we'll be able to beat the 13-4 Buffalo Bills. But my God, man, this Bronco team needs to start like fucking 1, 2, 3. This is now our 4th time 1 and done in the playoffs. What is going on? I'm going to try to get this big, mean motherfucker, and I'm going to convert it to defensive end. Let's try that. Sue could go fuck himself. Okay, let's go. We had a secondary option. Lamar Houston was there. There was no bids on him. Kind of, he was still an upgrade. He was like an 85 superstar. Now, of course, there are bids on him, but we could try. Give him maybe a 1 year. We'll go 4.6. It feels like everybody lost out, and the Ndamukong Suh races are going to come here. 1 year, 8.7 mils. Probably about as high as I can go. It is first place, so we can see that's still a big upgrade over Dalvin Tomlinson at that defensive end spot. So fingers crossed we can bring in a Lamar Houston, who we saw do the damn thing on the Raiders retro reboot. He was actually pretty good, pretty solid, and we had to bring him in while also picking up the 5th-year option on Jalen Smith's contract. He's up to an X factor. Let's just kick that can down the road there a little bit. At least now with our salary cap kind of hampering the roster, we do have needs. 3rd wide receiver, we need to get that Eric Decker replacement. And on the defensive side, I mean, a middle linebacker, I guess. Another middle linebacker to play alongside Jalen Smith. We'll make Budda Baker the starter there. So middle linebacker, wide receiver, that's probably where we're going to go in some variation with our 1st and 2nd round picks. Hopefully there's some legitimate talent available at both of those spots. So first up at wide receiver, we have N'Keal Harry. Could probably pull the trigger on Debo and it wouldn't be too cheesy. But, I mean, once we go to the 2nd round, that's when, you know, you can get one of those guys. A lot better wide receivers who want to get a little bit cheesy in the second round. Looking at who's available at middle linebacker, we have Tevai. Do we have anyone on the outside that can kick inside? Gross. Any big safeties anyways? I mean, we could go I don't know. That's just something that we did in Madden. It's not really fair to do that. All right, well, we'll go best middle linebacker because things are going to get cheesy for that second round wide receiver pick. All right, so we have Deontay Johnson. I have no problem taking him. I mean, DK Metcalf is sitting there waiting, but we need more of a slot guy. So let's grab Johnson with the dev trait. Our draft recap. Obviously, we kind of ate the first. That's not bad. 71 for Tevai. Knew he wasn't going to be dev trait. Knew he probably wasn't going to be a high rate player, but we'll take that. Then we got Deontay Johnson, 70 hitting dev. He's going to be our slot. He's going to be our third wide receiver. That's a good get. Bobby Evans. Got David Edwards, Lamont Gaillard, Ty Summers, and Miles Gaskin. Does Gaskin have a dev? That would have been kind of cool to round the draft. Not a bad draft, but only one hidden dev for a team that needs a whole lot of love here for the final 2 years of this rebuild. Still searching for a Super Bowl. So for our final extension period, a lot of one-year deals to veterans, just because we don't have a lot of salary cap to really probably upgrade them. Doomerville is probably the most at risk to potentially retiring, which I'm a little worried. We got Zane Beals on a 1 year, Franklin on a 1 year, we're keeping Lamar Houston on a 1 year. I got a 3-year extension for Derek Wolfe, and just cause, man, we gotta just ride it out here with Tim Tebow. 1 year extension, $32 million for the 3-time NFL MVP. In year 9 at the depths. I mean, we're too good of a team to be shit. So 10-7, that's fine. That should be probably a little bit better record, but there's some other top dogs. Made the playoffs. Get a chance here against 12-5 Buffalo Bills. Take a look at our stats. Looking around the league, none leaders for us, but a solid year to Tebow. 4,400 yards, 31 touchdowns. We got 9-16 for Jay Ajayi. On the receiving end, 11-6 for Sanders, Thomas, and Deontay Johnson, all going over 1,000 yards. Defensively, Jalen Smith continues to be a tackle machine. I'm glad Von Miller hasn't sucked. That would be pretty disappointing if Von Miller was actually the butt cheeks. The butt cheeks, not just butt cheeks, the butt cheeks, but he's been sensational. 92 tackles, 19. He's just a god, absolute god. 10.5 sacks here from the veteran Elvis Dumervil. 3 picks from Honey Badger. Leading the team. Looking at the yearly awards, MVP goes to Adrian Peterson. Tim Tebow at number 4. Quickly just burning through. Deontay Johnson, Offensive Rookie of the Year. Making the most out of that first pick. Von Miller, Linebacker of the Year, but it's almost a foregone conclusion that he's going to win that every single year. So can we avoid going 0-1, aka 1 and done in the playoffs for the 1, 2, 3? This would be number 5 if we did. And we actually get the win, but now we get to go through. That's actually good. The fact that the Titans went 15-2 and we barely made the playoffs bodes well for us, I think, in the sim here to beat the Tennessee Titans. I don't know why. Of course, this is when we beat the Titans. I hate that that's a thing, because you know every time we're the 15-2 team, we're the ones getting slapped by the team that's barely, 1 or 2 games above 500. But when you got Matt Barkley's quarterback, kind of deserved to lose. Huge game out of Tim Tebow as well. There's probably something to be said when you're the underdog team kind of in the playoffs, which we are to an extent. I mean, I don't know how much of an underdog you can be when you have a 3-time MVP on your team, but, when we're not the top dog, when we're not 14 wins, 12-win team, give me 10, 9 wins. That was always the sneaky teams, and of course, we make the playoffs. Probably our weakest team at any point in this rebuild, outside of maybe year 1 or 2, and we're finally Super Bowl taking on LaShawn McCoy and the 12-5 Eagles. We'll get a front row seat for this one. Hopefully, we can get that Super Bowl victory for the Denver Broncos, and most importantly, for my personal Lord and Savior, Timothy Tebow. Let's go, man. Moment of truth. I mean, we might make it back here, but this is probably going to be our best chance at a Super Bowl. And Philly gets the opening score of the game. We're able to capitalize on our first red zone appearance, tied up at 7-7. I don't know how we didn't get any points on that drive, but Philly takes a 14 lead. We get the instant touchdown. Look like a big-ass play to Mary's house. Take that 21-14 lead. We get an opening score. Philly responds right away. High-scoring game. In a game like this, too, I like to think our defense would be the one that kind of toughens it up, tightens it up. We got Von Miller, who has, known. Guy thrives in the Super Bowl. As good of a defensive Super Bowl player that I've personally seen during my era of football games. And look at this. I don't even care if they get points. It has happened. Not at the depths. We've had, I think, 2 retro rebuilds that have, gone all the way to year 10 being the year that we won our first Super Bowl. At least here in year 9, we get that little bit of buffer, chance to make it a tiny bit of a dynasty, try to win back-to-backs. But we got the one. That's all that matters. Goes down as a successful rebuild for the Denver Broncos and Tim Tebow as the face. I would love to see Tebow get the MVP award. There's a sad, I don't know who that is, Andrew Luck? I'm going to guess that's Andrew Luck. That'd be cool if Philly had Andrew Luck. There we go. Zach Ertz. Little does he know, that's his team in an alternate universe. The real one. Tebow is the... Oh, my God. 344 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick for Tebow on top of what he might have done rushing. What a performance from the greatest college quarterback I've ever seen. Greatest college quarterback single season goes to Joe Burrow. The most unstoppable college quarterback that I've seen. I still got to go to Tebow. I would say like Lamar Jackson has a shout, but Louisville never really had a chance, plus level of competition. Tebow did what he did, utterly dominant in the hardest conference in football, especially at that time. That time there, SEC's defenses were ridiculous. That's when SEC teams were winning the fucking national championship, like giving up 6 points, and Tebow was dominating them. So congratulations, Mr. Tebow. We got one more year to run it back. And game crashed. Can't load it up. Literally crashed. I actually, like, it stalled, and I was trying to hit record so you guys could see where it goes from, like, the Madden splash screen to just crashing. And it won't load. So, if this happens, it always happens. Like, if I just would have simmed that Super Bowl, not played the moments or anything like that, we would have been able to get the year 10. It's always the risk you play any year after the 5th year. So year 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10, if we have a Super Bowl appearance and we interact with the Super Bowl, engage with the Super Bowl, and don't just sim it from the main menu, the main hub, there's like a 75% chance it's going to crash, corrupt the file, and make it unreadable. So what a way, as we sit here on a black screen to end this video, then just, this is what happens, is what it is, shit happens, we won a Super Bowl, let's fucking go. Kind of annoyed I can't look at all the stats of all the guys. It just is what it is. So thank you guys very much for watching today's video. As always, first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. Let me know in the comment section below what team you want to see next on the Retro Rebuild. Likes, comments, all that stuff for the YouTube algorithm. I love you guys very much. I appreciate you, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.